So this is a course summary for Law and Ethics of IT Security. In this introductory lecture, we'll provide an overview of the laws and professional ethics applicable to IT security professionals. And we'll also examine the basic ideas and dynamics to analyze and discuss the interplay between law, technology, and professional ethics. We'll also, in this course, be examining a few substantive areas of law that are relevant and applicable to IT security. And these will include regulation, crime, intellectual property, and privacy. And a big part of the course is your ability to conduct independent research relating to ethics and artificial intelligence, which is a very hot topic right now. In terms of the course topics, the course outline, in the next week's lecture, we'll look at different types of regulation. We'll look at what has become known as the Internet of Things. That's very important for IT security. In week 4, as part of your independent study, we'll provide you with you'll do a paper outline for me, and I'll discuss that more in class. We'll look at e-contracts, cookies, cyber liability, codes of conduct, privacy and data protection, which is an area of my research focus. And then we'll also allow you to look at artificial intelligence in some detail. So start thinking about that from the first class. In today's lecture, we'll be discussing a number of key terms relating to ethics. And we'll apply that to the IT security environment. We'll examine what influences your propensity to behave ethically, and we'll look at some of the theoretical basis for ethical conduct. I'll provide you with a model or moral, a model for reasoning, which you can use in your essays for me, and also in your as you navigate ethical challenges in your own life. And then we'll apply these challenges of ethics to IT security. So it's very important that you get from this lecture a sense of what is ethics, what's it about. Ethics is typically referring to standards of behavior that tell us how, as human beings, we ought to act. Ought is a very, very important word in ethics because it's known as a normative word, which means what is morally good or right. And so how we ought to act in a particular situation is directed in large part around our ethical understanding. And we find ourselves in many, many different ethical circumstances or moral circumstances daily, actually. And they affect how we interact with our friends, parents, children, other business people, other professionals, and how you display those standards in your conduct will determine in large part how you advance in your career. So we need to know how ethical standards are enforced in society, and also, equally important, what ethics is not. And we'll examine 3 main approaches to normative theories. As I mentioned, normative refers to what is morally good or right. And these are important theories that you'll have to remember. The first of which is deontological, and that refers to making the right decision regardless of the consequence. It comes from Kant, but what is important here is that you understand that this is a very principled approach to moral conduct. Right? You look for a universal standard that applies in all situations. Teleological focuses on the outcome to be achieved, much more pragmatic. You would say, okay, well, what is the outcome? And we don't necessarily be concerned about the method there. And all of these approaches, it should be noted, have their drawbacks. So you need to understand what the pros and cons of each of these theories have in order to understand how they apply. The last is virtue ethics, and it emphasizes the character of the individual, so the qualities of that person. We assume that a person of good character will make good choices, so we can leave it up to them, and if they have the right moral character, they will be operating in the interests of society. So that is often that is also a very important approach to normativity. We'll look at some different theoretical bases for ethical conduct, and I've listed them here. We'll elaborate on them much more in class. And then I provide you with a moral reasoning process where we look at how we're defining a particular issue. That will be important for the papers that you'll produce. You'll gather the information, you'll identify which stakeholders involved, who's going to be affected. You'll look at alternative solutions, and then you'll apply your certain judgments. And then as well as the limitations of what you have researched. And then lastly, in terms of evaluation, there's a quiz. You have a paper outline, which I'll explain to you more in class. You'll be presenting your research in class. You'll be responding to the research presented by others in discussion posts, and you'll be having a final paper. I'll elaborate more on this in class, of course. So if you have any questions, please ask me there. Otherwise, contact me via Canvas.